Everyone, welcome to Triple Play Fantasy, the football show. I'm your host, Zach, and we are going to get you ready for some fantasy football, wonderful winners and losers from the post NFL draft. All right, welcome everyone. I am not David, so just a surprise. I'm your new host, Zach at FF Tulip Batman. David is on, we'll call it paternity leave right now, as he's getting ready for a wonderful new baby in the family. But we are excited to talk to you about the NFL, the post NFL draft, winners and losers for fantasy football. So I'm joined tonight by Doc at Trip Play Fantasy, Joe Pepe, hashtag celebrity at JPEP20, and Brad at Sir Brad Leak. You can find us all on Twitter. How's everyone doing tonight, guys?
You know, Zach, I gotta say you're a more handsome host than David. Let's start off with the shots right away. Get them out.
Yeah, get them out of the way. I mean, my Sixers are down, and yes, I am watching it underneath the screen.
Nice.
I'll be better once they catch up.
And I'm a little nervous. This is, I think, my second pod ever with a celebrity, so I'm a little nervous.
Not a celebrity, man. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Don't worry. We did plenty of shows on the Tripwire podcast all last season. He knows his stuff. Celebrity is a strong word, but what we use it for him.
Very
but
strong.
I appreciate it, Doc. Dave can definitely bench way more than me, and he crushes that Stairmaster way more than I can. But I appreciate the compliments. So for those of you tuning in, this is Triple Play Fantasy. We got you covered with every sport out there. I mean, we're in the middle of basketball playoffs, so tune in for that. We're already talking next season's fantasy basketball season. We got you covered with baseball. We're right in the middle of it. I know Joe's excited about Bryce Harper coming back. We were just talking about that before the show. I mean, we got Brad wearing an O's hat. I'm from Maryland myself, so big Baltimore fan. And then obviously we got you covered for football. We're finally back for the football season. We just had the NFL draft. It was very exciting, unless you were Will Levis. Sorry, Will Levis. But we are going to talk winners and losers, Will Levis. But this is from a fantasy football perspective. A lot of great guys getting drafted in the league just for the league itself. But let's be honest, we only care about fantasy right now. So, Joe, who is your first winner, whatever that means to you, for fantasy football?
So because the mocks, I did so many mocks that stuck in the back of my head. Because the draft has just finished, I'll go with a rookie. I'm going to go with Jordan Addison. And it's funny because leading into this, I wasn't really into Jordan Addison. He didn't test real well. But the landing spot is perfect for him. With a team that plays 11 personnel a lot, with the way he can run routes, being a Biletnikoff winner, he still has Kirk Cousins there, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson stealing all the coverage. He's going to have a lot of really good looks happening for him here. And he's got a chance to be a high-end wide receiver too for this team. And I think it was the perfect place. If he went anywhere else, I probably would have been out. But he reminds me a lot of Stephon Diggs with how he runs routes. So I think it's a perfect landing spot.
Do you think he puts up that Thielen type number? Like you just pencil him in for Adam Thielen's like 104 catches, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns?
I'm a little worried about the touchdown part. That part I don't know. I could go with it. I can go with the receptions. I can go with the yards. I'll be all for that. But the touchdowns, it's hard. We still don't know what's going on with Dalvin Cook. We got TJ Hawkinson. We got Justin Jefferson there. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So I don't know about the touchdown part. Maybe like 5, 6, and I'd be okay with it.
We're ending the KJ Osborne season before it even started.
I don't know why it ever started. I don't really. I get that, like, the guy from the Rams came over and they run 11 personnel a lot, so he's on the field and we love him. But the dude's just not that good.
I mean, he's still going to be their third wide receiver.
Yeah, but so they also have Jalen Reagor too. So, like, I just wanted to put it out there. It didn't matter. I just wanted to put it out there.
I feel so bad for him now, teaming up with Justin Jefferson. Just
I feel
God, it's gotta hurt.
no type of bad for him whatsoever.
It's the Philly fan in you coming out.
I say,
Oh yeah, it's always there, man. Just lurking.
if you guys didn't figure out, we have a Cowboys fan on here. We got an Eagles fan. We got a Giants fan, and then we can't finish off the NFC East, but we still got the NFC covered with a 49ers fan on here. So we got you covered with plenty of rivalries. So
I'm
Brad,
Washington fan, by the way, not Giants. Never that.
Oh, you're Washington.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about Giants. All right, perfect. So at least you suck. So we got the Washington fan. I got to take my shots. So we don't have Giants covered, but that's okay. They got Daniel Jones. Good luck.
Yeah, right.
But Brad, you have a favorite team after the NFL draft. Who was the winner of the NFL draft for you as a team?
Yeah, man, I was really, really impressed with the Detroit Lions, to the point where I don't see where they have any weaknesses on offense now. Jared Goff played incredibly well last year, but they went ahead and drafted their QB of the future at value with Hendon Hooker, who many people thought was, a top 3, top 4 quarterback prospect in the draft, and they got him in the 3rd round. They replaced Williams and Swift at running back with a 2-headed monster of David Montgomery and Jamar Gibbs. I thought Jamar Gibbs was just as good as Bijan Robinson, watching him at Georgia Tech and Bama. But they also have St. Brown, a wide receiver, Jameson Williams, and they added Antoine Green, who runs a 4.47. He was 97th percentile in yards per reception in college. And they also added an athlete at Sam Laporta, a tight end from Iowa, who runs a sub 4.6, 91st percentile for TEs, and he was 90th percentile in agility for TEs. So it's just a really powerful offense, and we know what they can do on defense. So they're just going to get plenty of opportunity to play with pace and really just throw for a lot of yards and also control the ground.
Wait, Brad, you said we know what you said we know what they can do on defense. They had an awful defense last season.
Is that like I'm saying their defense is horrible, so they're going to get plenty of opportunities.
It can only go up.
Points. Yeah.
You know who the Lions remind me of? You go to like your draft with all your friends, you draft your fantasy team, and the one guy gets really drunk and screws it up, but then somehow wins the league. Like that's like the way they did the draft made no sense to me. And then you look at it afterwards and you're like, damn, they kind of got everybody that I like.
They really did a great job. They don't really have any holes. I'm not going to act like I know, whether their offensive line is going to be great or not, but just looking at the skill positions, they're a beast of a team, a lot of talent.
Now, so I think most of the majority of people watching felt like the first round made no sense just because of a value perspective with all those mock drafts, and I get it. But at the end of the day, they went and got guys that they like, that fit in their scheme, that they think that can produce. And then after that, I think they nailed the draft. But if you look at their wide receiver core, I guess from a fantasy standpoint, after Amon-Ra St. Brown, is there anybody you guys want? I mean, you mentioned Jameson Williams. He's out for 6 weeks. Are you guys drafting anybody on this team after Amon-Ra from a wide receiver perspective?
I'm all the way in on Antoine Green. So he's going to get those 6 games that Jameson Williams is not going to get, and he's going to be able to be their number 2 guy with that. I know Marvin Jones is still there. I don't know that he'll be the number 2 wideout in that offense, but just looking at it from a dynasty perspective, Antoine Green is a beast. It was just him and Josh Downs at North Carolina, and he really has all the tools. He's got great hands. He's got speed. Like I said, he was like 91st percentile in yards per catch out of college. Like he's a big play threat waiting to happen, and I think he can be huge in that offense.
I'll take a shot on Khalif Raymond at the end of drafts.
Oh God!
I
forgot all about him.
I mean, look, you take a last round pick on Khalif Raymond. Why not?
If it doesn't work, you drop him.
He's more like a DFS guy too. Like if you get some men price 1 week, he could score big.
Well, that's where like the Lions wide receivers. That's what I'm going to be looking for. More DFS, more best ball with Marvin Jones there. But if I'm talking redraft, I might take a shot on Sam Laporta. I know rookie tight end. We're not supposed to do it, but the dude with his ability yards after catch wise, it's insane. The guy is just explosive in that sense, and I'll take the shot at it, especially for the first 6 weeks. Because if I'm streaming tight end anyway, I'll just take the shot. If he doesn't work for 2-3 weeks, I move on.
Yeah,
I
if he
like
gets
that.
a touchdown, then his day is salvaged. So
That's all you need. It's tight end. You get 5 catches for 50 yards, you're in the top 10. So like I don't need much.
No, I'm with you. Zach, can I just stay and say Jahmyr Gibbs is one of my winners also? So, I mean, Brad touched on a lot of it, but like where a team takes you really kind of shows their level of commitment. And the writing was on the wall with Swift. They didn't want to pick up his 5th-year contract, somebody that's had trouble staying on the field. And I know everybody has thrown out the Alvin Kamara comparison, but like really the lack of wide receivers outside Amon-Ra, who had his own ankle issues last year, shows that he's going to step into an almost every down role, hopefully, whether that's running the ball, passing the ball on a high volume offense. I mean, you guys saw the green room when they picked and they're high-fiving everyone. You think Detroit hears that noise of fantasy analysts saying that, you know, they messed up the draft, they overdrafted him. They're going to want to showcase him to basically say, like, we knew what we were talking about. We're smart. You know, this is a guy that we loved. So when a team drafts a running back like that, like think about running backs typically have their best season in their first 2 years. Saquon's best season was his rookie season. Kamara's arguably was his best rookie season. McCaffrey has kind of been an anomaly, but running backs drafted early on are very high impact right away.
To Doc's point, like I don't know if he's going to have his best season within his first 2 years, but they certainly use you up the most as early as possible because they want to discard you, you know, when you turn 25, 26, or 27. So I think Doc makes a great point there when taking those rookie second-round running backs, they're going to get a lot of usage out of those guys.
Yeah, and like for me, especially because of his weight, his best seasons are going to come early on because he's going to get beat down a little bit from that weight. I don't know if that's just me, maybe because I'm the fitness person. I'm like, oh, he's a little smaller than I want him to be. But, you know, it's a smaller weight, and you're going to get dinged up. You're going to get beat up. So him getting those yards, those catches, those receptions, like everything with J-Mo being out, like everything that you guys just said, I agree with it all. And I think it's going to be year 1, year 2 is going to be like his peak.
Yeah, and I think I would not compare him with Kamara. I think Kamara's got him by at least like 20 pounds. But I do think with that strong offensive line, they can use him in space. I mean, he might be quote unquote the wide receiver 2 in targets, if you will, as a running back, with Jameson Williams being out at least 6 weeks.
Also, I mean, the man played in the SEC. It's not like that's a league for small children. Like those are big boys ready for the NFL, and he took plenty of beating there at Alabama. So I feel good about his durability.
Absolutely. And Doc, who was your last winner of the post draft?
Yeah, so for me, it's Lamar Jackson. When I look at the draft in total, not just the actual draft night itself, but what plays into it, and kind of the dominoes falling of the Panthers trading up for Bryce Young, which we can talk about because Art Tornabenny has a question about the Bears side of it. But that eliminates one team that needs a quarterback. Jalen Hurts got paid. Everything lined up for Lamar Jackson to get paid on his terms. And then Baltimore went out and invested in Zay Flowers, who I think is kind of what he needs. Now, from a game breaker's perspective, he probably has the best speed on that team. I think Odell complements him as more of a possession receiver. Mark Andrews is going to be a top 3 tight end option. I really love Isaiah Likely this year, too, if they run 2 tight end sets. It seems like the Ravens are fully committed to Lamar Jackson. And yes, maybe we don't see that rushing upside, but we don't need to. And he's more durable, which is when you spend an early pick on him, that's what you're hoping.
Yep. And I think the new offensive coordinator, Monk, can come in and is going to help with the scheme.
I do like Greg Roman a little bit. I think people poop on Greg Roman a little too much.
The more passing attempts is what has me excited about this new coordinator. Because like you said, without those passing attempts, then he has to run. If he has to run, he's probably going to get injured. So like I like the whole setup here. He's got better weapons now. He's got an offense that wants to throw more. So it can't be worse than last year. So it's going to be up from last year no matter what. I'm excited. We know what he's done. It's only been a few years since he was MVP. It's not like he's like old now. He's not 37, 38, 39. So I'm excited for Lamar.
Joe, I feel like you said the 3 years that are like somewhat a little bit older than you are.
I almost said 33, and I'm like, damn, I ain't doing that to myself.
That's like I hope everyone sleeps on Lamar in all my leagues so I can get him at a good
Same.
value because I'm excited to have Lamar on my teams this year. But you did mention Art had a question, so thanks for tuning in, Art. Any feelings on the Bears trade of the 101 and how it played out after the draft? So what do you guys? Were the Bears a winner or were they a loser?
I mean, nothing they did seemed wrong. I like, how Roshan came to them. I know that's not technically the first pick. I like what they did. I also like that they gave me Jalen Carter. So
Yeah, that's fair. I think the Bears have the right idea. Like, whenever you're that far away from being like a title contender, I think the move should be to get more pieces and trading back out of that one when you already have a quarterback. Like, just go ahead and fill the rest of your team out. So I think they did the right thing. Whether or not they took the right players, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. And even moving back and switching out of the first round the way they did for everything going down with Jalen Carter, like just to get, their guy anyway, plus a little extra on top of it with draft capital, I think they did well. Again, like you said, we'll see if it's the right guy. I'm not as big on their guy with Darnell Wright, but we'll see. I could be wrong.
And I think it's the same advice we give to anybody in Dynasty. If you're a rebuilding team and you already have your quarterback set, trade those early picks away so that way you can get more draft capital for future drafts as well as just stockpiling picks because you're not ready to contend yet, so you might as well stockpile for the future. So
can I just say one thing that kind of came into my mind? Sure. Remember how the Texans almost had the first pick, then they stupidly won the final game, then they went back to the 2 pick, and then they traded a bunch of assets to the 3rd pick? Like, that wasn't a loser of mine, but that's almost like a loser move.
Absolutely. And it's a perfect segue before we get into losers, but the Houston Texans might have just lost the 1st round pick this year. Thank you, Lovie Smith. And then they might have given up next year's 1st round pick, the 101 by trading to Arizona Cardinals, who might end up with the 101 and the 102 because we all know the Cardinals are going to suck this year.
Yeah. I might have been the only person. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
No. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I'm the only person in the world that actually liked what the Texans did. I think going and getting your guy with like a new head coach, so you're not like putting him in a lame duck position. He's a defensive minded coach coming out of San Francisco. He actually played for that team. Like he's a nice story, and I think he wants to mold that franchise. To go ahead and get a quarterback and get your linchpin on defense makes a lot of sense to me. Except I think they should have waited on the quarterback.
Yeah, I think that whoever the GM is, because I am blanking on the name right now there.
Nick Caserio.
He's going to be on. Thank you. Yeah, he's going to be on the hot seat if Houston is atrocious again. Because if the Cardinals end up with the 1 and the 2, and you miss out on Caleb Williams and CJ Stroud just isn't it because his pocket presence to me isn't there. Like that's a real bad look. The coach may stay, the GM may be gone.
Yeah.
I knew we would disagree with Brad as our first disagreement of the season.
That's okay. Hey, if we were all agreeing, that'd be boring. I love it. Yeah. I love the discourse and different opinions. So before we get to losers, a way to not be a loser is to play underdog fantasy. Not sure if you heard. We have the Best Ball Mania 4. I mean, the winner just gets a cool $3 million. There's a total of $15 million in prizes. The regular season winner gets $500,000. So why are you not playing underdog fantasy? All you have to do is draft, and then you're done. That's it. Just draft. So if you're signing up for a new account, use the code name TRIPLE. Get yourself double the money you put in, up to $100. Free money for you to then go play some more games and win possibly $3 million. Look at that.
Zach, I was waiting for you to say something single, and then be single so you can blow all that money.
You can do that too. But absolutely sign up for Underdog Fantasy and don't be a loser. But we do have to talk about losers because with every winner, there is losers.
Way smoother than Dave.
Yeah, he went to a school for this. He went to a school for this. Definitely
watch out, Dave.
Spare time.
Watch out, David. I'm coming. Brad, can you start off with your loser team? And I appreciate your pick.
I hate to say it because I am a fan of this ball club, but I'm going with the Washington Commanders. I just feel like they have no vision right now. So we've got a lame duck head coach, apparently no owner still. We draft a tiny corner for our 1st round pick, and we didn't really invest in our offensive linemen, which is really sad for a team that's planning on evaluating Sam Howell this year. And then on top of that, why are we evaluating Sam Howell? Because he's not actually – he was never drafted to be, take the keys to the franchise. He was just somebody that they liked that was available. And, you look at a team like the Titans, they drafted Malik Willis to be their future. And after they weren't sure for a year, they went and drafted Levis. Like, just keep going, keep drafting, create competition until you get the guy that you like. And I just don't see what their plan is. I don't get their vision. They didn't pick up Chase Young's option. Like, they're doing a lot of things that don't make sense, really.
It sounds like a Washington thing, though, to be completely honest.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
fair.
And I'm not even trying to be mean as an Eagles fan. It's just they're a mind-boggling organization sometimes, and like you said, it's kind of a purgatory year because you don't have your owner technically yet, and they could be the team that screws up the Cardinals getting 1-2 because I could see Washington just being atrocious this year. I think they had way too many wins last year for what they had, and I think it's only gotten worse.
They had Heineke to do a little magic every now and then and get you some wins, and the defense was still pretty solid. But this year they're not going to have that, and the defense might still be solid, but the offense is pretty atrocious. So I don't know what to expect other than poor performance.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll have a solid defense. Yeah, it's going to come down to Hal. If he's solid, they'll be average, and if he's terrible, they'll be just as terrible as Hal. So
I might be being, a little hard on him because he had a nice little game in the last game of the season last year, but that's not enough to evaluate anybody. So yeah, like you said, we'll see.
Not when the Cowboys weren't playing for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I'm a Cowboys fan or anything, but I am. But I love that everybody uses it. Sam Howell is like, oh, look what he did against the Cowboys, great defense. I'm like, nobody was playing. But hey, if that makes you feel better about Sam Howell, then I'm happy to make you feel better. So with that, Eric, who are your winners from this post draft?
Well, I talked about the winners, but I think the biggest loser.
Oh, sorry, losers. Yeah, losers.
I think the biggest loser has to be Kyler Murray. Like when Arizona traded back, that showed that they're not contending this year. So Kyler Murray, from a financial perspective, has set the rest of his life. But this is the first year the 5-year, $230.5 million extension kicks in. Right now, he's going to have DeAndre Hopkins, whenever Kyler Murray comes back, who half wants to be there. They didn't really invest much in high picks in the offensive line. He's with a new regime that didn't draft him, and that's similar to Josh Rosen, where after the first year and Cliff Kingsbury came in and they got rid of him. I actually thought about this earlier, and I want to pose this question. Would any team trade for Kyler Murray right now? If the Cardinals said he is out, we're putting him on the trading block, would any team trade for him?
Washington.
I would love to have Kyler Murray.
Washington with his little bit of moving around in the pocket, not so much Patrick Mahomes, but can move, like Eric Bieniemy there. That's one of the first things that popped in my head.
Joe, do you think he's going to be the same quarterback post ACL tear?
I don't think right away because I do think he has a little bit of scared little boy in him, to put it nicely, without me cursing on air. But I think he's going to be a little afraid to get hit. He's going to be a little afraid to move. I don't think he should come back at all this year. If I'm the Cardinals,
for what?
I already invested the money in him. I'm tanking the hell out of this season. I'm going to see if I can chip him. And if I can't, I'm going to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. and somebody else at the 1-2. And I'm just going to reload up with Marvin Harrison Jr., Hollywood Brown. I'm going to try to retool then if I can't sell him. Or if I do sell him, I'm going to get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, if you can't sell him and you're the new coach, why wouldn't you want to take your guy? You're not married to Kyler Murray. You'd want to get, if you are a Caleb Williams fan, take him.
The only issue with all this is, did they sit down and say, hey, if you get this job, just know Kyler's your guy? You know how, like when they interviewed him? And let's be honest, it's Jonathan Gannon, and he's I almost cursed again. He's an idiot. So he's an idiot. So I wouldn't be shocked if he stays there, kind of reminiscent of what he had with Jalen Hurts on a much smaller scale, body-wise and talent-wise, in a sense. But it all really depends on what the owner told him. If the owner told everybody interviewing, hey, you have Kyler, like then they have Kyler. They have to deal with that. But it really all depends on a conversation that none of us are going to know.
Also, like we have to remember that there's a reason why he got all that money. He dazzled in his first couple of years in the league, and it's just, you know, he's had a rough go of it this last couple of seasons, but it's just, you know, he's gonna have the weapons. He's mobile. He's got a great arm. He's one of the best Texas high school quarterbacks of all time, which is crazy to say in a state like Texas. But you know, he's got the track record to be great. I feel like if he was still on like a rookie deal, people would be much more open to having Kyler Murray. It's just the money that's kind of tarnished a bit of what people view him as, because they don't think he's worth it. But the talent's all there. And I think if you want to just judge the talent and you're all in on him, he's a quarterback to be excited about.
Man, Brad, you're getting fantasy mixed with real life. Kyler Murray hasn't thrown for 4,000 yards in any of his season, topped out at 26 touchdowns, double-digit interceptions each year. He's been healthy. Great fantasy quarterback. Real life, I think we got to see a little bit more.
26 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns.
26 touchdowns in 16 games? That's not even two a game.
I'll give
Daniel
Gannon
Jones would love to have 26 touchdowns.
But you're not, and you're also not including his touchdowns on the ground and what he provides to everyday defensive coordinators. Like to have to game plan for him is a nightmare.
I'll give Gannon and GM and everybody in Arizona this. They're going to try to protect them, at least from what the 2023 draft showed. So maybe that all elevates and it jumps and he doesn't play scared, for lack of a better term.
Doc, I'll put it like this. Would you rather have Brock Purdy or Kyler Murray?
Are we factoring in contracts?
No.
Are we factoring in Kyler's ACL tear?
Sure, if you want.
Yeah, I'll take Kyler over Purdy.
Yeah, that's like he's straight up talent. That's
okay.
That's all that matters.
One was the first pick of the draft, and one was the final pick of the draft. Of course, I would rather have the first pick.
But
tell all your Niner fans that. Tell all the Niner fans that, because I argued the same thing with Trey Lance, and they're like, "But Brock Purdy won a bunch of games." But it's the same argument because he was 3.
Exactly.
People don't realize how much of a system quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo was when you put in Brock Purdy and he looks like Joe Montana behind that offensive line.
Thank you. You literally complain, not you. You literally complain about Jimmy Garoppolo for years, and then Brock Purdy wins a bunch of games, and he's basically Jimmy Garoppolo, and they're like, the savior has come.
There's a reason. There's a reason why they traded all of that to get Trey Lance. It's because having a guy that can elevate, that can take a mess and turn it into something, you know, a 10-yard gain because of his ability that doesn't grow on trees. And that's what Kyler Murray has. That's what Trey Lance has. That's what a lot of these guys have. So if you take the contract out of the situation and look at what they can provide, you know, there's a lot to be excited about there.
All I'm hearing, and this is really from Joe, is trust the process, because he's a true Philadelphia fan. But let's see if Kyler measures up, and we'll find out. But yeah, don't draft Kyler this year going into fantasy football. So Joe, who is your final loser for fantasy football?
I'm gonna wild card you guys a little bit, because I was gonna Zach Charbonnet this, talk about how he went to Seattle, worst spot ever for this with Kenneth Walker. Let's just talk about Will Levis instead, and I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Obviously, the drop out of the top 10, then the drop out of the first round, but it's not all that. Imagine dropping that much, being embarrassed all day long, and then you go on the internet and everyone wants your girlfriend. Every single, like, just imagine the combination. Like, it's gotta, like, I couldn't imagine. Like, your whole day has been terrible. And then there are people literally, like, I don't know if you've ever looked at, like, all his comments on his Instagram and his girlfriend's Instagram now. Me and my girlfriend were doing it the other day. Funniest thing ever. People are, like, shooting their shots, telling them, like, oh, why don't I slide in since your boyfriend slid down the draft? Like, it's his stuff. Like, that had to be the hardest, like, 24 hours of his life, because he got hit, then he got hit again, and then he got hit again. And
he got drafted to the Titans, who might have the worst wide receiver core.
And that's another. hit to the face. Like, this dude just keeps getting smacked, and he's not a good quarterback. He's wound too tight. If you can't start at Penn State, you're not a good quarterback, because even when you start at Penn State, you're not a good quarterback. So
Hey, Sean
this
Clifford
dude,
drafted in the 5th round.
why, I don't know. If you put me and Sean Clifford on the field at the same time, I'm getting those same exact stats. And that's not even me overhyping myself. It's knowing
Yes, it
how
is.
bad they are. No, they are so bad at Penn State at quarterbacks. And you might be right, Brad, but let me have it. All right, let me have it.
Wait, Joe. I'm going to take this one step further. He goes to a neighboring state. He doesn't even get to travel at all.
No. It's listen. I couldn't imagine sitting on my phone the entire draft, waiting for a call, waiting for an email, and then let's go home. We'll have a nice day. We'll forget about it, and then bam, your girlfriend's trending on Twitter.
Hey, at least he's not Van Ness.
Yeah, my lord. Yeah.
Hashtag double tap.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it at that. I think Will Levis is a great loser. So I mean, I think we wrapped up the winners and losers initially of this post draft. We'll have a ton more coming as we get into. We'll be talking about dynasty, redraft, best ball. We got you covered here with Triple Play Fantasy. Are there any parting shots that anybody wants to share before we move on and enjoy the rest of our evenings?
Feel bad for anyone that's a fan of a team in the AFC South.
Yeah. And Cowboys suck, but whatever. That's all I got, man. I don't want to be mean to everybody. I got to take turns. Everybody's getting something. That's all.
We don't want to beat up on Brad too much with the Commanders. He already beat up on himself.
Yeah,
His
man,
stadium's
good.
falling apart, man. You got to give him a break. His stadium,
new owner,
Everything's
new
falling
stadium. Hey, at least the fans are getting pooped on just like the team is. But it's
my
okay.
lord. And let's talk about Odell Beckham. I'm kidding. No.
Yeah.
Oh, we're bringing it back. Huh?
We got to get me off. We got to get me off camera. We got to get me off camera. This is a bad idea.
We're moving too late into the game now, but I appreciate it, guys. I'm excited to bring you guys plenty of content this offseason as we get ready for the regular season. If you guys have dynasty drafts coming up, we got a lot of rookie drafts going on. Make sure you check out our YouTube page. Subscribe to Triple Play Fantasy. We got you covered. You don't want to miss out. We have a fun team. We got a Discord going on. Check it out in the comments below of our description. We got you covered. So thank you all. Have a great night, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.